Hey everybody! Just a quick video on canopy and lighting, which is what I did on the piranha habitat. I built my own and it cost me a total of like 36 bucks. Canopy and the lighting. So that you can't beat that. The lighting alone is hundreds. The canopy, I don't know if you can even get one for your tank unless you pay top dollar, because they simply do come very expensive. I was gonna build or actually buy a stand for the second tank, and they quoted me 400 something dollars. Like, what? 25 bucks with material and about an hour and a half. I got a stand. Obviously it's not finished, but a little bit of plywood, blah blah blah, hinges and doors. Anyway, today we're gonna work on these lights, and they are significantly smaller than the other ones. The other ones were 3x6. These are 2x3. And I think there's going to be more focus spectrum, so I have to lift this higher to the top of the canopy, therefore lose these at least an inch on each of the brackets. Alright, let's get to it. So I'll zoom in so you guys can see much better. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to detach these brackets, more or less, and cut them off, or cut them shorter. Alright, so they are kind of round here, once again, so they can work, clear the bottom of the light. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to round them up, but first we're going to cut a half of this cut. Now I might actually drill my holes out first before I cut. So let's get to that part. Stabilize the brackets. Let's move this back a little. Hopefully this covers. Yeah, you should be able to see just fine. You see these holes? They have to be somewhat the same spot. Alright, tape measure. This is roughly 2.5 inches long, so I'm gonna cut off down to 1.5 inch, and then I'll make a hole at 1 1/4. What do I have? Snippers. Let's see if I got enough strength to snip these off. Oh, whoops. Snipped it off. Not bad. Yeah. You can use a hacksaw or something else, Oh, too close. Okay. Force is really required to snip it, but all right, snipped up. I probably made it look harder than it really is. All you gotta is cut it off. Hacksaw, anything like that, I just don't have the patience. Now let's round these off. Probably wear a protective eyewear. Oh, not even sure if you guys can see what I'm doing. You should probably wear a protective eyewear. Okay, moving on. So we got the brackets. They're already been trimmed. probably an inch or so. Now we can assemble them back up. Now, I think before the assembly, what you want to do is attach them first to the canopy, because the light will be in your way to put the screw in and try to lock the screw. So instead of putting them back on or assembling it back on first, attach the brackets to your canopy, to the ceiling of your canopy. It'll be like that, as such. I used 2 screws last time. This time I'm just going to use 1 or maybe 2. I'm afraid that when you start moving it, teeter-tottering, or you should hit it, that 1 screw may not be enough to hold it firmly. The last thing I want to see is one of these lights drop off into my fish tank and electrocuting everything. So even though it is watertight, because it's a floodlight, which is another great benefit of using these LED, which means, you know, low heat, roughly. There's a heat sink here. However, they are waterproof, so any condensation, evaporation, and any other type of obviously water damage, it's too, you know, it's too built to sustain it, to kind of handle, withstand that. So that's it. That's the brackets, trimmage done. This will now get attached to the canopy. And as far as your lighting goes, you're pretty much done. I'll show you a little bit later how to, you know, drill out your hole in your canopy, feed these wires, so you can once again maybe just disattach 1 wire if you want to power down the lights instead of all of them individually, blah blah blah. But that's all, you know, up to you. This is all custom stuff, so you can build it just the way you want it. All right, moving on to the next project, which will be the canopy now. Alright, so real quick I'm going to show you what type of lighting I'm using, because obviously, as you can see, the lighting is very bright in my fish tank. I just have plenty of hiding spots, as I mentioned before, for the fish. But the light itself, I built this per DIY Joe the King fish keeper, and sure enough, stole some really good ideas of how to build you know, great lighting on a budget, LED, and I made some modification, obviously, cut the brackets. I built this top too out of plywood, you know, just real quick, total of $31. So cheap as hell, you can handle it, you can get it done. You don't have to go and spend hundreds of dollars on LED lighting that's made for, you know, aquatics. Just build your own and you're fine. Once again, let's roll. I already made the marking. Obviously, that's boring shit. Sure know how to measure. Measure 5 times, cut once. Okay, so that's it. I'm using a table saw. I do have a hand saw, but I don't have a table. It's kind of a pain in the butt trying to get it to float. Tilted this way, tilted that way. I get pretty close. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep working, so you're not gonna hear me talk much. How do I do like this? Okay, on this one I don't recommend using a high speed because these screws are tiny. So yeah, you can. What's up, you guys? Let's continue on. Last time you saw me before the battery crapped out is installing the leaf of a hinge. Now, ran into some complications. Number one, I had to cut the leaf up into 3 separate pieces because of the braces that run here. Also, it distributes the movement a little bit better, flexion and whatnot. Another problem was this top lid. It is not perfectly straight. It's got a little bow to it, actually a little S almost. And with opening, it has a little difficulty. I imagine with time as it dries and stuff, this may get a little better or may not, but even if it opens this much, that should be enough. Anywho, I did make some adjustments. I made some notch marks and such as I was installing it the opposite side. So yeah, I'm not immune to error, that's for sure. And yeah, there's other things playing, other factors playing in, like phone calls and people and things like that, but that's just life, you know. So yeah, you make a mistake and then you work with what you have. Not that I couldn't salvage it, but I got a little boo-boos here and there. To me, that matters none. It's still functional, and that's the number one thing. I'll worry about the aesthetic as I go, as I start painting it and dressing it up and whatnot. For now, the next step will simply be getting the main mechanical parts installed or whatever, prepared. For this, being drilling out the opening for the cord, for the lights, drilling out the openings where the returns from the heaters, filters, I should say, through the heaters will enter the tank, and any other adjustments like putting a little brace here so the canopy itself doesn't slide off the top of the tank and falls or some crazy thing like that. So before, last time I used a little metal plates that I sort of fabricated, which was a lot of work actually, given now that I look at it. Fabricated these plates that basically I glued in with liquid nails, because this is so thin and fragile. I didn't know what to use to nail it through. Now that I think about it, I should have screwed them in too, but liquid nails held just enough to where that plate, later would overlap the edge of the tank, and the tank would itself become sort of like a frame, foundation for the canopy to attach to. This time, I don't know if you remember, but I was snipping off parts of the brackets that came with the lights in order to recess the lights closer to the ceiling of the canopy. Those leftovers already had a drilled out hole in them, and they're about an inch long, more or less. That hole will get, that little piece will get drilled in here, attached to here, leave me with just enough to do the same, basically hold the canopy in place. So we get dual use out of it. I'm really, really proud of that little modification, actually, now that I think about it. Killing one bird or 2 birds with 1 stone is really an achievement in a DIY project. Anyway, here it is. I'm going to drill this out and move into painting. Alright, I prepared all the necessary such and such hole saws that I'm going to use. This one's going to be for the openings, water intake, and this one's going to be for the more or less light cables and whatnot, light fixture. I prepared these blocks here, which will help me elevate this canopy so I can drill through. stable this is. But measured my distance and more or less where I want this to be. This bit is so dull. It's just so much fight. I'm gonna start inside just in case it looks like shit. Not bad. Kind of easy peasy coverage. Well, a lot faster than spraying it. A lot faster, crazy fast. And since it's all gonna be solid black, I don't have to worry about being neat. I paint the top last since I have to open the lid and whatnot. This took me 2 days. Oh man, a lot of spray painting and waiting for it to dry, and then finding new unpainted spots, and back to spraying, and oh man, moving the thing out into the open because a lot of fumes with all that spray paint. I think that's where all the paint went. Into the freaking atmosphere. I'm just kidding, but a significant portion for sure. Alright, let's continue. Alright, leave it 5 minutes of this. See how this is a cheap ass Home Depot paint, so once again, not expecting too much from it. I am a bit of a perfectionist, so I can't leave things be. I constantly have a need to improve it, make it better or whatever. Sometimes I run myself into trouble and over-engineered shit, stuff like that, but it is part of my nature. Alright, I don't know how much battery I got left on this, but I've decided to roll with the other coat. The thing is almost dry, plus I'm not gonna have to do as Spilskis. I have to do it as detail. I'm just gonna smear it up pretty much, you know, like go over real fast. Try not to knock the canopy down again. My hand is filthy, so it doesn't really matter anymore. So you already seen that, so if I have to cut this out, at least you know what's up. 2 coats, especially on areas that are mostly exposed to the water. So here's where a little bit of eye dexterity helps. Now, for those that don't know what that means, it means that you can use both hands, right and left, as one. Not a lot of people have that ability. Mine is not entirely 100%, but it's a little bit better than average. And I can throw a ball with both hands and throw a punch with both hands or both feet, kick, soccer type of things, and do some small, fine motor skills tasks as well. with both hands equally. Bullshit, huh? Yeah. You can also shoot a gun or a rifle from either shoulder. You can train at that, so. Alright, the paint seems a little thicker inside. I can feel it's colder in here. It is the next day. I am wearing the same clothes. The only reason is I don't want to dirty them twice, so I stashed it to the side. I figure I'm going to do this one more time and then install and blah blah blah. Anyway, I'm trying to also be reasonable about the laundry loads. It's not just me around here. Alright, give it a minute. Cheap ass paint. Don't want to overspray and have drips and whatnot at the final stages. This is going to probably make the hinge go a little stiffer or whatever on you, but it'll all wear out within a week. There he is. What's up, savage? Please don't knock anything down with yourself on top of it. God. He's so bad. He's 6 months old and he is just a freaking meatball of trouble. Yeah, I love all of them. All my kids, furry and obviously human. It looks pretty good. I don't want this to now stick, which it's already sticking to something. Yeah, I gotta put something non-sticky in here. Oh, there it is. Screw. Alright. Cool. Let's still do one more coat in a few minutes. So let's just wait for that. Hey, so remember the brackets from the lights that I trimmed, made new holes, fabricated all nicely, new, whoa, there we go. I'm always off center. So anyway, I'll go like this. So remember those brackets that I trimmed for the lights? I trimmed down the inch or so, I cut off. This is what I end up with, these little snippets with already holes made in them. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach these now as my clips so the canopy stays put, and I also designate some screws to attach these brackets for the lights. I'm gonna pre-drill it because the screws that I chose are kind of thick, so I don't want anything splitting and whatnot. Plus it's just you know, preventative measures. I knew these things are only about an inch long, so there's no way they were going to be too long unless I set them too low, because it has to clear the lip of the fish tank's whatchamacallit, brace on top. One last one. Once again, the bite dexterity comes in handy. But most people know how to use drills with both hands, right? But, okay. Now, brackets. I did more or less kind of gauge where I was going to place them based on the depth of my 3D background, you know, and everything else. I'm going to place the lights just a little bit more to the front versus right in the middle, but not too much. I don't want it to be in my way when I'm working on a tank. So, plus you can also just tilt them a little bit, and that's what I did in the other tank. I placed them in the middle, then I give them a tilt, whichever ways, pleases you.